Mike's Daily Podcast.
I got all wrapped up looking at pictures. That darn Google Photos. You get so wrapped up in it, and it's constantly updating, and it's changing some of your pictures. I mean, it doesn't change them without you approving it, but it goes, oh, do you like this version of this picture better, where you have a little bit more complexion? You look a little less flushed, and you're like, oh, a little less washed out, I guess.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Which can be the problem when you're white. You don't have any color. And it's like, oh my.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Oh my.
Hey, thank you, George Takai, whatever. Hi, I'm Mike Matthews, and this is One Fun Guy. And it's episode 1674. Yes, I started this way before you ever thought about podcasting. So don't try and think you can...
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Start a podcast and go, I've done as many as Mike, because you never will.
Mike's
you never, ever will. And that's just
podcast.
How it goes. So,
yeah.
I know this guy who's trying to upload as many podcasts as he can, and then he burns out, and then he can't do anymore. And he's trying to catch up with me. You can't. I've done 1,674 now, as of this one. And if you'd like, you can go to mikesdailypodcast.com, go into the archives, and go all the way back in time to when I was blogging and podcasting, all the way back I'm scrolling down and finally finding it in 2009. So we're almost up on 10 years. And some people just walked in. But I just want to say, there are so many people I hear, yeah, I'm starting a new podcast, as if that's a big thing. Now, I said from the very beginning of my podcasting days that I think everyone should be able to podcast. Look who else walked in and tried to interrupt me. And I've said from the very beginning, people need to podcast, because in the old days, a la just like 10 years ago, you just had your radio stations with like the same 4 or 5 people, your Rush Limbaughs, your Sean Hannity's, your whatevers, your Don Imus's, your Howard Sterns, and they would just be those people, and there'd be no new voices. And with podcasting, there's new voices all over the place and constantly, and I think that's great. But don't think you can ever try and catch up with me, because you can't, because I'm Mike.
And here's today's podcast picture. And
I think I'll at this point drop the mic. And here I go. Oops. Hey, the episode 1674 has some people stopping by, and we have a podcast picture. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? I brought my horse Nelly.
And to Disgruntled Fiddle Player tell you what.
What?
I still hate Trump for what he did kissing Putin's butt. I mean, that was completely uncalled for. I love Trump. And then he went and said,
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful.
Yeah, you don't say that about any world leader that we hate. Nobody is strong and powerful.
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful.
Plus, he cheated on his wife.
How many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman.
Well, okay, Disgruntled Fiddle Player, you had a lot on your chest that you got off of that off your body.
That's right, Mike.
Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy, have some.
Thank you. I will, as a matter of fact. That looks great. My lovely lady friend made some delicious smoothie last night, and I got to enjoy it today on my drive-in at 4 in the morning. And you know what? As I wipe my nose, because it's 5:48 at the moment, is that I think my lovely lady friend takes some damn good pictures. In fact, that is the podcast picture today. I was going to go with this one. Oh, I am so torn, because I got this really cute one, her and the wonderful Basil the Boxer, and I at Half Moon Bay. Or should I go with the one yesterday? I might go with the one yesterday, even though I look a little bit fatter in this one. But she looks fantastic. I think we'll go with this one. This is from yesterday. We just asked this random person to take a picture of us. And Basil's looking away from the camera. So that's going to happen from time to time with your unruly children, your almost 10-year-old boxers. And so we'll save the Half Moon Bay picture for another day. But yeah, yesterday at the wonderful Lake Chabot, where it is in Podcastro Valley, where the show hails from and has hailed from for almost 10 years. And it is also Lake Chabot that has this little marina that I love so much. I still have never taken a boat out on it and from it, and I can't wait, because my lovely lady friend and I shall do that, and we will take Basil the Boxer. Yesterday was also Starbucks had a half-price Frappuccino if you have a Starbucks card. I've had a Starbucks card for a while now. In fact, it went gold. There was a time I was really into Starbucks. Now, not so much anymore. I don't like the fact that they bury their menus in the app. You walk into a store and you look at the board on the wall and it only has a limited amount. This is the same with Pete's. I can't stand Pete's for the same reason. They are...
Would you like some coffee? Would you like some coffee?
They only give you a couple selections. And it used to be a huge menu. And they're like, that's too much verbiage. Those are too many words. What are words for? When nobody listens anymore. Hello, I'm Howard Stern. And this is my show where I start every show with Rob Zombie, who's a scary-looking man who looks like Aquaman now. Rob Zombie. Or Aquaman looks like Rob Zombie. And I didn't know that until I finally saw the Justice League movie, which someone I work with in the break room, as we were all eating lunch, a bunch of us, suddenly just a random bunch, that we were all eating our respective lunches, and this gal goes, and I'll call her a gal because she's female, as far as I know, and she goes, hey, I don't understand Justice League. I mean, Superman is dead through half the movie, and then he comes to life, and then he fights off all the superheroes, and then everybody's trying to fight the villain, and Superman comes to life, and he kills the villain. Why didn't you bring him back to life in the beginning? And I said, yes, I absolutely agree with you on that. Hurrah. Hurrah. All right. So that was an interesting moment. And so back to the coffee. Oh, the only good thing, like I said, about the Justice League was that they had music from all the superhero movies that I grew up with, like the Superman from the 70s and the Batman from the early 80s. They had the Danny Elfman theme. They had the John Williams theme. So back to Starbucks.
He forgot his latte.
And
I was going to make espresso.
my lovely lady friend and I stopped by there because I have a Starbucks card, and it was half price yesterday for Starbucks card people. And I barely go, and I go just enough to keep the Starbucks card, basically. And there's this guy who kind of looks like Popeye. I am's what I am. And he comes up, he sees Basil, and he sees Basil, now that he's got the hip dysplasia a little bit, his back end kind of droops a little. And so he's giving us all this advice, like he just suddenly became our private vet. And he's telling us all this stuff, and I'm going, yeah. And I'm thinking in my head, we have got to get this frap that I want to have price on. And we got to get going, because I have to get to bed by like 8. And this guy's talking our ears off. And my lovely lady friend did this thing, and it was like a magic power. She has this magic power where she comes up to the guy, and she's so beautiful and kind, and she looks at the young man, or the older man. He might have been a young man, but he just looked old, because he did have a Motley Crue, Poison, the rock band Poison. What was their big song? Every rose has its thorn. And New York Dolls concert t-shirt on. So that show must have been, well, it was back in the 80s, which is now over 30 years, but he looked older. Anyway, she looks at him and says, I'm sorry, we gotta go. And he goes, oh, okay. Whenever I've tried to use that, I'm sorry, we've got to go, I'm sorry we talked to you, but we got to go, it doesn't work, because I look like a jerk guy asking it. But when she did it, it was just so calming, and harps playing, and just like he couldn't argue with it. I mean, he just was powerless, and he let us go out of his tractor beam of talking to us. Of like that, he said we should give Basil the Boxer iron, which that's not really a dog thing. That's more of a. I remember hearing that, like, you need to give, if you're a woman, you need iron in your diet. I remember some old commercial saying that. It's neither here nor there or anywhere up there. And I didn't even get to any of my other topics from this past week I've been wanting to get to all week. I might have to push this to the following week. But the argument that was, oh, wait a minute, look at a composite photograph from the Apollo 15 moon mission that happened in 1971. That is the picture today on the, Bing home website. An Argentina rock star accused of murder. The victim was Christian Diaz, has been described. Argentine rock star Christian Pity Alvarez accused of murder. That's what it says. So badly written, this article. A star has eaten a planet. Astronomers spot a star eating a planet for the first time. And then there's Tony Podesta has been granted immunity by the Robert Mueller investigation because of Paul Manafort testimony. And then Russia shows off super weapons after the Trump summit. In video posted on YouTube, Moscow gave new detailed looks at 5 advanced weapon systems just days after Putin and Trump met. Oh, that's great. And maybe that's why Trump wants to kiss his butt, is because he saw the pictures of the weapon and went, oh, crap. Okay. That shows a lot of faith in our military. So I was saying, with all these conservatives that rush to Putin's side, to Trump's side after the whole horrible Helsinki debacle, the hell in Helsinki, a bunch of people rushed to his defense as we go outside a Café Anyway. We're bringing you Mike's Daily Podcast, Summer Podcast Valley. And they kept bringing up, it's so, Trump just went to Russia because we need to communicate with Russia. We need to communicate with North Korea. We need to communicate. And I have said on this podcast, yes, I agree with that. We need to communicate with all of these nations. But the way Trump was kissing his butt up there on stage was just... And the fact that he had just come from England, where he insulted the Queen by not following the proper royal protocol. And I work with this guy, and he goes, well, you know what, Trump, America doesn't need to follow English protocol, because if it wasn't for us, they'd be eating sauerkraut right now. Please. So, nations that come here shouldn't follow our protocol? What's that theory? And then the fact that Trump totally dissed NATO. So, and called him a foe. Yo, ta-da! That's the end of the show. That's probably not all as much as you wanted to hear. There'll probably be a Super Secret Sunday show this weekend. I know, exciting. There hasn't been one for several weekends. I'm looking for that. Looking forward to that. If I had my druthers, I would not use that expression. But Hank Kingsley on the Larry Sanders Show started off a sentence because he was doing a bunch of random thoughts for his newsletter in the show, and he said, if I had my druthers. Larry Sanders was Gary Shandling.
Didn't they try the fence thing at the Alamo? Didn't we try that? Didn't they build the wall, and then the Mexicans had what they call a ladder?
There you go. We'll end it with the lovely, wonderful, late, great Gary Shandling, and that is the show. I had fun, and I hope you enjoy the picture. at mikesdailypodcast.com. Also on the Facebook page. Like the Facebook page. We appreciate it. You can also subscribe to the newsletter that I send out that lets you know when I post a new podcast. Just go to mikesdailypodcast.com. The entry form is right there at the top of the page. You can access the webpage through your browser on your phone and, of course, on your laptop, desktop, tablet, whatever. So, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Check it out today. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. And the next show, hopefully, God willing, that we do, will be 1,675. Try and catch up with that, you newbie podcasters.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!